how to make the devil obey you. You see, metaphysically, the devil represents a multitude of things: adversity and this third dimensional realm. This third dimensional realm, also known as the physical plane, the very world that you seek to materialize things within. If you have the capability of making adversity obey you and the world obey you, then really and truly, you would have mastered the devil. And this is something that's not only possible, but this is actually something that I help 7 to 9 figure entrepreneurs, professional athletes, and Hollywood actors do. Because if you can make the devil obey you, you can make the world obey you. And the truth of the matter is, whether it's religious externalization or people's fear, this concept might sound a bit scary, but I can assure you there's nothing to be afraid of. As it was once said, I believe it was Abraham Lincoln who said there's nothing to fear but fear itself. Metaphysically, we have to understand that fear is nothing more than faith in reverse. So anything that you fear, you emit a beacon into the universe for that very thing that you don't want to come find you. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to make the devil obey you so you can master this third dimensional realm to make the very things that you desire you. I mean, you might seek to materialize a relationship, but what if a relationship wanted you? You might seek to materialize a job, a promotion, an opportunity, a switch in career, a certain amount of money in your business. What if you could make these things desire you the same way you desire them? See, most of us put things in reverse. We put the, the horse before the cart? We put the cart before the horse. Yes, most of us put the cart before the horse. And if you're playing the game of reality backwards, then unfortunately, you're going to suffer. As you can see, the devil over here, we're going to be making this fine entity obey you by the end of this video. So as usual, make sure you take notes and leave them in the comments.
I wonder if people thought you were crazy because you just said, what's that saying, AJ? And I didn't say anything.
Yeah, for real. You just aired me for no reason.
I'm not even AJ.
Okay. Now, chances are if you saw this video title, maybe it's curiosity, but let me ground your expectations very, very clearly, because I'm not a religious individual. When I speak of the devil, first of all, devil, Satan, and Lucifer, they're all different entities that represent different things, first of all, but that's topic for another video. But when I'm speaking about the devil in this instance, this is nothing more than a reference to the third dimensional realm, the illusionary realm, what we call life, what we call reality as we know it. This is a representation of adversity, because also Shaitan has etymological origins in adversary, right? That's what this means. So in this video, we're going to be looking at things esoterically. So if you're a religious person that's clicked on this video, nigga, then you might want to leave, because you're going to hear a lot of, demonic things, which is just anything outside the paradigm of religion. Because like I said, where typically religion, institutional systematic religion externalizes things, we're going to be doing the opposite here. We're going to be looking at things esoterically. Esoteric comes from the Greek word esoterikos, which refers to the inner. Exoterikos refers to the outer, which is typically, systemized and organized religion. So the concept of making the devil obey you for the average person is going to be like, whoa, what kind of evil stuff are you going to be doing? Even though King Solomon himself controlled demons and demons obeyed him. But that's a story for another day as well. But I meant it. When we're talking about the concept of making these things in the world desire you, it's actually very easy. It's easier than you think. And the truth of the matter is, you've had these instances to which the very things that you've desired, they almost fell into your lap effortlessly. And then we seek chasing this degree of effortlessness to which things unfolded for us. And then it's, unnecessarily difficult. But like I said, I'm going to be showing you, and I think it's only appropriate today that I will use purple. Cool. So let's start off with a very, very simplistic story that I'm sure everybody is aware of. When Jesus, but let's, make it more metaphysical, Christ was in the desert. Everybody's familiar with that story. Christ was in the desert, I believe 40 days and 40 nights, if I'm not mistaken. And, in that period of time, obviously he's in the desert wandering, thirst, hunger, all of that. Most vulnerable. at his most vulnerable state. Everybody's familiar with this story, but nobody's ever looking at this story esoterically or metaphysically. And I think if you can uncover the esoteric nature within this story, then you have the key to materialization, whatever it is that you want. And I'm not saying that, I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Anyways, Christ is there wandering in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights. He's really, really down bad. And then at a moment of his greatest weakness, who appears before him? The prince of the world, the devil. And the devil says, listen. If you get on your knees, pause. He doesn't say that. It says, if you bow before me, everything that you can see, I will give it to you. Everything that you can see. Now let's conceptualize what that means. When we're talking about everything that we can see, that is the third dimensional realm. But the thing about the third dimensional realm, or what we consider to be the physical plane, is an illusion. Hence why in the Hindu traditions, they refer to it as the world of Maya. Maya referring to illusion. This is why it's commonly known that we see only 0.0035% of what actually exists, because we see through visible light. But visible light, VL, is only a tiny portion of the entire electromagnetic spectrum, meaning we see a fraction of reality. We don't see the entirety of reality. We see a very, very, very minute aspect of the entirety of reality. Now, being so, when the devil said, anything that you can see, I'll give it to you, anything refers to everything that one would desire. So what is it that you seek to materialize? It might be a certain amount of money. It might be a deal in your business. It might be customers. It might be a promotion. It might be a job. It might be a career opportunity. It might be romance. Anything that your eyes can see, I will give it to you if you bow before me. Now, obviously, Christ refused. Why? Christ refused because Christ was Christ. You're probably thinking, what do you mean by that? You have to understand one thing in particular. Christ is nothing more than a unification of consciousness with the infinite intelligence. When we are one with the infinite intelligence, when we are one with infinite, then we lack nothing. And that's a bar, write that down. Now, think about it like this. The devil's like, yo, I'll give you anything that you want, anything that you can see. You want money, you want status, you want this, you want this, you want that. You want that career promotion, you want that opportunity, you want this, you want him, you want her. I'll give it to you. Christ refused because Christ was already one with the infinite. And being one with the infinite, Christ was lacking nothing. Now, you have to understand one thing in particular. There are no truths in reality, or there are few truths, I should say, in reality, other than what the subconscious mind accepts as true. You see, the third dimensional realm has a very, very amazing way of convincing us of scarcity that doesn't exist. The third dimensional realm will seek to convince you that you are lacking. And I say it will seek to convince you of it because it's playing upon the fact that you can only see a small fraction of reality. You're seeing a small fraction of reality, thinking it's the entirety of reality, and then reinforcing that as a truth into your subconscious mind, which then makes it true. Because if you understood that you're lacking nothing, then how would you approach the things that you desire? How would you approach relationships if you weren't lacking any relationships? How would you approach that promotion? How would you approach that job? How would you approach that career opportunity? How would you approach that money if you weren't lacking anything? Be a very, very different frequency. You probably step from the frequency, or the secret frequency of not needing, for one. That's probably a frequency you'd utilize, and I've got a video on that. But Christ refused because he recognized that everything in this third dimensional realm is something that he's already one with. So it's almost like me coming up to you, that t-shirt that you're wearing, and I'm like, listen, that t-shirt, I'll sell you this t-shirt, and you're already fucking wearing it. You'd be like, why are you trying to sell me something I already have? Why isn't that a realization that you've come to metaphysically? And that's a bar, write that down. You see, the world attempts to sell you on things that you already have. And when I say have, I don't refer to physical possession, because when we're talking about physical possession is useless to the universe because it knows that the physical realm is an illusion. The physical realm is an effect. So more valuable than the effect is the cause. And the cause is frequency, energy, self-concept, mental attitude, state of consciousness. This is the real thing. There's nothing more real in this universe than consciousness, because consciousness materializes and gets you the things that you want. So when we're talking about having, I'm not referring to physical possession. That's typically what people think. If I say, hey, do you have some money? You think to yourself, do I have it physically? We're talking about something that's tangible. But why do you give so much authority to something that is an illusion? Something that's merely an effect. Something that doesn't have any truth in its existence other than just being a reflection. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. Because the truth of the matter is, more important than physical possession is mental and emotional possession. Think about it. Christ in essence was like, you're offering me shit that I already have. So what is there to be gassed by? Because understand this. When the devil can do nothing for you, he will attempt to do everything for you. And that's a bar. Please write that down. Let me say it again. When the devil can do nothing for you, he will attempt to do everything for you. And when I say the devil, I'm referring to the physical plane. Because think about it like this. Most of us, with the things that we want, if I was to drop the amount of money that you want into your account right now, if I was to give you that career promotion, if I was to let that deal close, if I was to give you that customer, if I was to give you that relationship, you'd probably feel fucking amazing. And that is the issue. Because the world can still do something for you. And because the world can do something for you, that's an indication that you are lacking internally. And if you're lacking internally, then the truth of the matter is that's going to be reflected externally no matter what it is that you do. The only thing that's real in life is consciousness. Everything else, we rent it with consciousness. Money comes in and out, it comes and goes, career, so on and so forth. But the only thing that is solid, if you remain solid, is your consciousness. Because like I said, my definition of manifestation is simple, and I think it somewhat mirrors this situation. Manifestation is internally shifting to a degree to which you're no longer emotionally dependent upon seeing reality change. You see, when you're still emotionally dependent, that means you've allowed the world to convince you that there's something it can do for you. And if you have this unconscious belief that there's something that the world can do for you, then that means that there's something that you're lacking. And if there's something that you're lacking internally, that's going to be reflected, because you can only have what you already have. You can only have what you already have. Remember, manifestation is internally shifting to a degree to which you're no longer emotionally dependent upon seeing reality change. Emotionally dependent. If there's emotion that the world can still give you, then that means your internal state is tied to an illusion. And if your internal state is tied to an illusion, then you will be led to hell. I mean, even think about Matthew 6:33. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall then be added unto you. First seek the state of consciousness. First seek the frequency, the self-concept, the mental attitude of being the individual that already has it. And then these things will be added onto you. When the truth of the matter is, we get so caught up in this physical realm because we're physical beings. We're physical beings. Even me writing on this board is a physical thing. AJ had to come over here. That's a physical thing. He had to set up his camera. That's a physical thing. If we want a drink, we go get a drink. That's a physical thing. We're so encapsulated into the physical plane that we think life is only physical. And then because we think life is only physical, we begin to negate the fact that life in of itself isn't just physical, that there's three planes of existence: mental, physical, and spiritual. Hence why even in this religious tradition, there's God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. The spiritual plane, the mental plane, and the physical plane. The triune nature of reality is reflected. Body, mind, soul. Body, mind, spirit. This the same concepts across different cultures and traditions. So going back to what I was saying, when we tie our internal state to the physical plane, then we descend into hell. If you want to know the easiest way to get to hell, the easiest way to get to hell is to think materially. And I don't mean materially in terms of Louis Vuitton and Gucci and Birkin bags and YSL. I'm not referring to that. I'm saying materially in reference to the lower planes of existence. The more material our thinking is, the more we begin to suffer. And that's a bar that down, because like I said, when you're so encapsulated by the physical plane, you'll be walking in a mirror house scared by your own reflection and you don't even know it's you. And that's the easiest way to conceptualize what we go through as human beings, because like I said, Matthew 6:33 says, seek ye first the kingdom, seek the internal state, seek the peace, the joy, however you'd feel upon attaining money, secure, however you'd feel upon being in a relationship, cherished, loved, appreciated, however you'd feel upon attaining that promotion, appreciated, proud. First seek the state of consciousness, and then these things shall be added onto you. Because the unfortunate thing is, when we don't seek the kingdom first, but we seek the material things first, we descend into hell. Because that's what hell is. I mean, Christians will say that hell is a physical place, some geographical location in the afterlife. Some conspiracy niggas will say that we're already here on hell. Some people say hell's in the earth's core. That's neither here nor there. The truth of the matter is, it's known that hell is eternal separation from God. Now, of course, God is omnipresent, so technically you can't be eternally separated from God, because if you're in hell, then God is in hell. But hell is separation in terms of a misalignment in consciousness. Hell's what happens when we begin to put the physical plane before the spiritual plane and mental plane. Even though on this channel we talk primarily about materializing the amount of money you want, the relationship you want, the career promotion, so on and so forth, I need you to fucking understand that those things are not the main things. And if you think those are the main things, then you still don't get it, and you will fall into hell, because then you'll be separated. You'll be eternally separated in consciousness, misaligned from the understanding that same way Christ is a unification with consciousness with the infinite intelligence, when you unify with the consciousness of the infinite intelligence, then you realize you're missing nothing. And when you realize you're not missing anything, then you won't bow the same way other people bow before the devil. People do it on a daily basis. Bowing before the devil is doing nothing more than putting the material before the spiritual and mental. Now, how many people have sold their soul when you look at it like that? People will get onto people for selling their soul for riches while they sell their souls for poverty. Selling your soul is nothing more than putting the material before the mental and spiritual. Because like I said, in that story where Jesus was in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, esoterically and metaphysically, Christ, being a unification with the infinite intelligence, had no reason to bow to the devil, because he was one with everything he was already seeing. That's like you coming up to me and trying to sell me this board when I already fucking own it. You already own everything that you seek to materialize. You're the only one that separates yourself from it based upon your inability to realize you're one with it already. Because if you realize you're one with it already, then you wouldn't seek it outside of you in a realm where you only see 0.0035%, which then would lead to you putting the material before the mental and spiritual. And it's the mental and spiritual that are the causal realms, the higher plane of existence. And when you put the lower before the higher, don't be surprised when your life is low. Like I said, the Christ-like state of consciousness. Hence why in Philippians chapter 2, 5-11, it says, let this mind be in you that was also in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God did not find it robbery to be equal with God. If you put the material plane first and your thinking is primarily material, you will begin to suffer and suffer and suffer and suffer. Because whether you realize this or not, you're already one with it. And when I say you're one with it, you're one with the infinite. And the infinite is all around you. Consciousness is all around us. Consciousness is the substance of reality. So with the very things that you seek to materialize, the only reason they're separate from you is because you're still thinking about them materially. What if you had the capability of reverse engineering what those things are physically? What if, let's say, you wanted to make 10K a month or 1 million a month or 10 million a month, which are numbers that I have a client that does 10 mil a month. I have actually a couple now. If you was to look at that in of itself, that number, and reverse engineer it, break it down metaphysically, something exists physically, then it first exists vibrationally. Vibrationally is mentally and emotionally. So if you had the capability of acquiring the mental and emotional equivalent of whatever it is that you want first, then you wouldn't be suffering in this material realm the same way we do. We always think to ourselves, I want to make more money, I want to change careers, I want that job. But what you need to ask yourself in order for that thing to obey you is, what does it want? What does it want? What does that certain amount of money want? What does that relationship want? What does that career promotion want? What does that job want? What does it want? Anything that exists physically just wants its equivalent mentally and emotionally. And if you prioritize what creates the thing physically, then you have true power. Because the power doesn't lie in the amount of money you have. It doesn't even lie in the relationships that you have. It doesn't even lie in the career. It lies in the consciousness, because then that consciousness can never be taken from you. And this is how equivalent. This is how there's multiple individuals. One of my oldest, Alfie, he was a millionaire. He lost it all and he built it back. The reason for that is because his consciousness was that of a millionaire. Are you a millionaire because of what you have or who you are? And who you are determines what you have. But we often place things backwards in the game of reality. We often think to ourselves, you know what? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this thing to have this thing, then I'll be this. Without realizing that you first be it, then do, then have it. This is frequency first, action after. I really need you to understand that. I can't stress this enough, because like I said, most of us are taught to bow to the devil without even realizing. Bowing to the devil is putting the material. It's having a human level of consciousness in terms of what you see. You need to stop thinking like a human and start thinking in accordance to God, in accordance to the universe, to be able to look outside with a spiritual bird's eye view and see beyond it. Because like I said, it's not the money. It's not the relationship. It's not the career. It's how you'd feel upon attaining those things. And guess what? Feelings are fucking free, nigga, which means that the frequency of what it is that you seek to materialize is also free. The only cost to it is your ability to insert it into your mind without placing conditions on it. Because you've been trained to think physically. You've been trained to think you'll only feel secure when you have that money. And it's that belief that makes it conditional. You want unconditional money, but you place conditions on what the money wants. The money wants the feeling, but you won't let yourself feel until you have the money. You're the only one that's shooting yourself in the foot. And this is why most people spend their lives chasing the things that they want, only to be disappointed upon attaining it, of course, because the physical plane is only part of the game.
That's a bar, write her down. Nero, just want to let you know, I commented on one of your videos before and y'all read it, and basically I got a very high grade in my last year of high school.
I remember that comment.
Same. And the update is I was accepted into dentistry.
Woo!
In the best university of my country.
Wow.
I have to give you credit for that, and couldn't have done it without your wisdom. Thank you.
First of all, you could have done it without it, and I don't want your credit, because remember, if you give me props on this channel,
turn this into a cult.
quickly. No, that's amazing though. Dentistry, that's fire.
May 834 bad bitches be waiting on you in the afterlife. Over a year watching you.
Hold on, I want to hear this.
Over a year watching you, never reached out on here. At 19, created my first business, made 60K first year. 20 now, making my second business. Thank you for your guidance on life, man. You are so real, man. If you responded, it would just be confirmation. Shit really going my way. Bless up.
How many bad bitches?
834.
Very specific.
Very
number.
specific.
Very specific number. I don't need that. I have the frequency. That's funny. No, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. At 19, that's amazing. Hey, on this channel, we make shit that doesn't make sense make sense. Frequency defies rationality.
I love how your words flow, someone said.
Oh, thank you very much. I think that's because I'm talking off the top of my head. Sometimes I'll talk too quick. Sometimes I might, you know what I mean?
You know what?
Like stumble over my words. The hell?
What?
I don't know.
Yo, you're making this weird now.
What? You're the one that made it weird.
You're the one on camera, bro. Nero, I'm currently reading Outsmarting Reality.
Really? You mean Outsmarting Reality, Amazon bestseller for 26. Link in the description, nigga.
Off the top of your head, right?
Crazy.
Nero,
Crazy star. Crazy.
I'm currently reading Outsmarting Reality, and I felt called to share this with you.
Okay.
I'm a children's book author,
What an angel.
and my books are centered around manifestation and emotional intelligence
That
for
is
kids.
so sick. That is so sick. Because like, think about how many fucked up, children are in the world because their parents are fucked up too. And then, you know what I mean? But like, if you can get consciousness, because children come into this world with the purest degree of consciousness, and then, predicated upon adult, we taint their consciousness with our own limitations, our perceptions and stuff like that. So I think that's absolutely amazing. And I really do mean that. That's really amazing. You're literally changing generations. That's amazing.
I'm also home with 3 kids, so at times I feel guilty that I'm not writing more, but your book helped me realize I was focused on cause and effect instead of changing the cause itself. I got clear on what I truly wanted, for an influencer to find one of my books and share it with other parents and guardians. On Sunday night before falling asleep, I imagined exactly that. Then on Monday night, an influencer with 50,000 followers on Instagram, 200,000 followers on TikTok shared my book. I'm still in shock.
That's fucking sick.
Thank you, Nero, for sharing your wisdom with us. The world is a better place because of you and AJ.
Is her name there? Because she's a children's author. She should.
Erin Santa Maria.
Apologies, AJ can't read for shit, but I'm sure.
Reading names is that's different to just read. Erin Santa Maria. That's a very
Santa Maria.
Santa Maria.
I'm pretty sure that's like a type of witchcraft.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I'm pretty sure Santa Maria, if I'm not mistaken.
They're just called your name witchcraft. Crazy.
I beg you search that up so I'm not tweaking. Searching Santa Maria. It's in my head now. I'm pretty sure it is.
You want me to type in Santa Maria witchcraft?
Is that a thing?
Bro, that actually came up.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
Guys, let's do it at the game.
Spelled different though. Oh man.
You seeing like the skulls in that?
Nigga, I'm seeing animal sacrifices and herbs for healing and protection and deeply blending spiritual practices with daily life.
Told you.
Dear me.
Yeah, come off that, bro. I don't need those vibes in here. Now, like I said, Satan etymologically comes from shaitan, which was a reference to a degree of adversary, Adversary, adversity, same thing. So you can conceptualize adversity in this third dimensional realm as the devil. Hence why Christians typically, anytime something goes wrong, they'll be like, oh, it's the devil, it's the devil, it's the devil. Like I remember one time, like I was supposed to, I think this was 2015. So I think we were leaving Zim because we went to visit my grandparents in Zimbabwe, and our flight got cancelled. I swear to God, my grandma said it's the devil. And I was just like, even back then, I was just like, how? Like, what does this have to do with anything? But typically, religious people internalize any degree of adversity as the devil. Now, like I said, if you want me to make a video on it, it actually has nothing to do with manifestation, but I'd love to talk on the difference between Lucifer, the devil, and Satan, because they're all different. Even though people characterize them as the same, they're actually not different by any stretch of the imagination. But the second way to make the devil obey you is actually by utilizing Luke 6:28, which is, bless those who curse you. Bless those who curse you. Now, you have to understand one thing. This came from Christ. And as I said earlier, Christ is in unification in consciousness with the infinite intelligence. Unification of consciousness with the infinite intelligence. With the infinite intelligence. Hence why Christ said, I and my Father are one, right? And we see this across very different traditions. I mean, you know, Christ said, whoever has seen me has seen the Father. Between Buddha and Krishna, who predate Christ by centuries, they said, whoever has seen me has seen the Dharma, and whoever has seen me has seen everything. Both of these individuals predate Christ by centuries, but they're all saying the same thing because they all represent the same type of energy, the same type of consciousness. So what the Gnostics refer to in of themselves. It's this avatar-like consciousness that is one with the Creator. We see this across many different traditions, across many different cultures. It's a unification with consciousness. It's being one with God. It's being one with the infinite intelligence. Because here's the thing, when you're one with the infinite intelligence, then you see clearly. And the truth of the matter is, we as human beings typically don't see clearly. In the same way that I'm wearing these shades and these shades are tinted, most of us live life seeing through a tinted lens without realizing that we're wearing shades. So we see the word tinted and we think this is just how it is. Somebody else has red tints, somebody else has green tints, because the truth is, you don't see reality with your eyes, you see it with your mind. And that's a bar, write that down. And then when you come to the realization that you see reality with your mind, then you actually need to start asking yourself, what is the mind of people before you take consideration of their opinions? I mean, the value of an opinion or someone's feedback changes depending upon their level of consciousness. How different would you listen to the advice of people if you could see their frequency? And I don't mean this egotistically in a sense where now you can be like, everyone's a fucking NPC, I'm not gonna listen to these individuals. But don't be surprised when somebody who's in a particular state of consciousness or survival gives you advice that isn't aligned with what you're seeing. Because remember, you don't see with your eyes, you see with your mind. Even physically, the eyes do nothing more than take electrical signals and send them up to the brain. The brain has a guesstimation of what it's seeing. And that's just on a physical level. But on a metaphysical level, we see with our mind, because you don't see life as it is, you see life as you are. Your own consciousness begins to distort life. And once you come to the recognition that your own consciousness begins to distort life, so long as we are operating within the paradigms of the limitations and restrictions of this third dimensional realm, such as polarity, then we aren't seeing clearly. We see things separate. Because we see things separate, we're adhering to a law of this third dimensional realm. And because we're adhering to the law of this third dimensional realm, we are adhering to the devil, whether you realize this or not. The only way for you to break free and to make the devil obey you is if you begin to transcend the limitations of the devil. And the limitations of the devil extend to space-time constraint. And then in this instance, the hermetic law of polarity, which is separation. Most human beings see things separate. We see things so separated. We see life there, we see ourselves here. We see AJ there, we see ourselves here. We see everything in such a separate manner. And when you think about what Christ was talking about in the golden rule of treat others how you want to be treated, it's because metaphysically they are you. It's one consciousness. Imagine have 5 different water bottles. 5 different water bottles, one's black, one's green, one's purple, one's red, one's yellow, and one's purple, whatever. Inside, they all have the same water, but on the outside, they appear different. And because they appear different, most people idiotically perceive them as different. And this can be extrapolated to humanity. Now, to relate that back to the point that I was saying, the reason why Christ said, bless those who curse you, is because it's the understanding of one thing in particular. You see, within polarity, within seeing things as separate as human beings, the ego likes to categorize things and say, that's bad, that's good, that's terrible, that's great, that's amazing, that's shit. And because it likes to categorize things in that particular way, we don't understand one thing in particular. And that is that the labels that we prescribe to reality come with meaning. And meaning comes with emotion. And emotion is energy emotion. And that energy emotion emits a signature that we call a vibration. And that vibration, when it compounds and it goes through cycles, it turns into a frequency. And frequency is interchangeable with self-concept, mental attitude, imagination, and it eventually materializes into reality. Reality is like ice. Frequency is like steam. It's the same energy, simply in different rates of vibrations. Consciousness and matter are the same energies in different rates of vibrations, metaphysically speaking. So once we begin to curse things, meaning you run into adversity, you're like, fuck. You're like, nah, this is terrible. This couldn't have happened at a worse time. This is the worst thing that could have happened. And I mean this purely in reference to something that you're seeking to materialize. So for example, you apply for the job, you don't get the job. You try to go on that date, they either reject you or it just goes fucking horrendous. You try to sell something to a client, they don't take it. Customers aren't purchasing. You apply for that promotion, you don't get it. They're like, nah, nigga, work harder. Anything in that particular realm are things that we would typically curse. They're things that we would typically curse without realizing that once we begin to curse those things, we're cursing ourselves, because us and those things are one. How you talk about reality is how you're talking about yourself unconsciously. You see, when you come to the realization that you're one with reality, that your reality is a reflection of you, that your reality is you, you are a microcosm of a macrocosm of reality, then how you start talking about reality is really an unconscious confession of how you're talking about yourself. And you can ask people to describe things. Let somebody describe life and you could probably get a hint on what's going on up here that may be perpetuating this. Now, this isn't in all circumstances. Don't be an individual that spiritually bypasses and you just, put everything down to spiritual, mean, so on and so forth. That's not entirely true. In most contexts, it is correct, because like I said, when we begin to curse the adversity, when we begin to curse reality, when we begin to curse conditions, when we begin to curse circumstances, what we're unconsciously cursing is ourselves. And if we are cursing ourselves, then we're bewitching ourselves. So don't be surprised if it seems as if someone's doing witchcraft on you. The truth is, you're doing it to yourself. Which is very fucking funny, AJ, because I remember when we first started posting these type of videos, whiteboard videos, and people would be like, I can't watch a spiritual person that curses.
Oh yeah.
And I'd be like, fuck off. The reason for that is because I may curse verbally, but you curse mentally. And if you're cursing the events, circumstances, and scenarios that unfold in your reality, then you're unconsciously cursing yourself. And if you're cursing yourself, then you're placing yourself in resonance with a frequency of negativity that can only perpetuate and lead to materialization of the very same circumstances that you're cursing. Your curse is the reinforcement of that frequency. You cursing that circumstance is you strengthening that very same frequency that you're complaining about. Because like I said, the labels that we put behind reality come with the meaning. The meaning comes with an emotion. The emotion is energy, emotion, vibration, frequency, and reality. So really and truly, when Christ said, bless those who curse you, this could be extrapolated to the entirety of reality, because think about it. We've been trained to see adversity as terrible, but if you look at the stories of any of the spiritual masters, when they were going through their adversity, the adversity wasn't necessarily, except Christ on the cross. I believe he said, Father, why have you forsaken me? I think something to that effect. But if you look at a range of spiritual stories, especially if you start reading the Mahabharata, once you look at those stories, you see these instances to which adversity strikes upon these spiritual masters, and the spiritual masters transcend them, because spiritual masters typically don't see adversity as adversity. They see it in a completely different way. For example, when the disciples were on the boat with Christ and Christ was asleep and a storm came and they were all like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, we're gonna get, mashed up by this storm. And Christ said, be still. He woke up, he was like, yo, be still. And it just disappeared. Most people are trained to see adversity as adversity, which perpetuates the very same thing, because who the fuck likes adversity? But an individual who makes the devil obey them sees adversity as good. Because you must bless those who curse you. And what is it to bless? It's to appreciate. It's to praise. It's to have gratitude. Now you're probably thinking, bless my problems. How does that make sense? The truth is, it doesn't make sense. But maybe sense will only get you so far, because what we conceptualize as sense anyways derives from logic. And what we define from logic is drawn up from the parameters of what we can see. And what we can see is only 0.0035% of what actually exists. So relying on common sense sometimes can be a bit limited. Not always, but sometimes. Especially in an instance where you have the capability of transmuting reality. That's where it can be a bit limiting. But you must bless the adversity. When something goes wrong, appreciate it, praise it, have gratitude for it. Why? Because of the concept of negative gratitude. I have a client of mine called Tony. Shout out Tony. He was stuck at 2 million for 7 years straight in his business. We started working together in 2023. In 5 weeks of working together, he signed a 10.8 mil contract. We're really close now. He's one of my oldest, a client. And, through working together and going through these experiences and alchemizing reality, we came to a concept known as negative gratitude. Because the truth of the matter is, what is gratitude? We only have gratitude when there's something to be thankful for. So when we're thankful for something, that means that things are good. So if you can be grateful for the negative things, then you have the capability of alchemizing reality, because typically what happens is this. Really think about this. How many times when some bullshit happens, when it's long said and done and you've moved past it, you look back and you're like, you know what? I'm kind of glad that happened. I was able to extract the lesson. This happened and this led to this. And, because of this, it set this up and this. That happens all the time. So why should we wait until it's after said and done and we've gone through the chaos to be thankful? Because our gratitude is an indication that we have transcended that circumstance. So what if in the face of adversity, the gratitude that you display would indicate to the universe that you've transcended that adversity right as it's taking place? And then that drought period in business, that difficulty in your relationship, that drought period in terms of getting that promotion, that drought period in your job would no longer be a drought, because it would start raining. And it would rain predicated upon the gratitude that you have, because you're now blessing what other people are trained to curse. See, most people, most of humanity all think the same. And because they all think the same, they all operate the same. And because they all operate the same, they all materialize the same. It's very actually normal for somebody to curse adversity, be like, what the fuck is going on? This is terrible. How could this have happened? Why me? Yada, 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 yada. That's very, very normal. But you can't be an anomaly if you think like everybody. There's individuals that seem to have a Midas touch, that seem to have the capability of alchemizing reality, that when things are going wrong, it doesn't last too long for them when it's going wrong. And it's because they're blessing those that are cursing them. So, whatever it is, let's say you've been struggling to get a job, you just rejection letter after, you need to start being grateful for it. Have the capability to be grateful, because remember, manifestation is internally shifting to a degree to which you're no longer emotionally dependent upon seeing reality change. When you're no longer emotionally dependent upon seeing reality change, but you're emotionally dependent upon yourself, then and only then are you free. Because then the world can offer you nothing. And what's the first thing I said? When the devil can offer you nothing, he will offer you everything. Every single thing that you want to materialize will seem to chase after you when it realizes it can do nothing for you. And it will only realize it can do nothing for you when you've had the capability of cultivating whatever you think it's going to give you. You think that money's going to make you feel secure, give yourself security now. In doing so, you then remove the dependence upon reality. So then even in a circumstance, because here's the thing. Let me write this down.
Bro stole my bar.
I stole your bar?
Yeah.
Which one?
The anomaly one. It says though. Game's game.
I did not steal your bar.
It's alright, bro.
You're gonna launch a conspiracy on this channel that you remember when people used to say, I'm wearing an earpiece.
Yeah.
And you're talking me through it.
Don't remember.
Pause.
I wasn't talking anyone through it, for the record.
I don't know how that happened.
I'm not even gonna respond to you.
I didn't mean it like that.
Before you ruin my PR.
No, your PR's really
your
fucking...
PR.
No.
My PR's good?
No, it's not.
What the fuck?
Your PR's terrible.
My PR's good, bro. Allow it.
I actually have good PR.
Yo, what?
You know what? I don't give a fuck about PR. That's the truth.
Yeah, there's the PR crash out there.
No. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, when people do the PR thing and they try to present themselves to be a certain way,
You're right. I'm gonna be.
I'd rather you lot know I'm a mess, innit? You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know. Like, I remember when I was, when I used to watch like spiritual YouTubers and stuff like that years ago, and I'd be like, damn, these guys ever have a bad day? Like, do they ever have a bad day? Like, ever? You get me? Like,
Life's just perfect.
You know what I'm saying?
Sunshine and rainbows.
Rainbows, mom's life. So me, nigga, you lot know. I'm one bad day away.
You drive me crazy.
Doom, 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 doom. I remember when I lost my mind. It was something pleasant about that place. Even your emotion had an echo. There's so much space.
Can you imagine someone said, love your videos, but I have to be honest. I literally trip over myself running to turn down the volume to mute as soon as you start singing.
That's insane. At the exact moment we just started singing. Let's read that comment.
As you Brits would say, it's bloody awful, man. An instant headache.
They said, as you Brits would say, it was bloody awful. And what?
It's an instant headache.
Instant?
Yeah, that's pretty strong. We have a massive impact on your emotions then, I guess.
Sound like you're emotionally dependent upon seeing reality change.
On your bodily functions too. Headache.
You don't want to give us that type of power. So the thought that I was finishing, what was it? Yes. Cool. So, don't know why there was like a low drunk step right there. I can assure you, I'm not drunk this time. Now, to be emotionally dependent on seeing reality change for good makes you a victim for the same degree of extremity when the bad unfolds. And what I mean by that is this. So, as I was illustrating the previous point that I was trying to convey, it came to my mind the idea that typically we can allow for reality to convince us of something good. So when we get what it is that we want from reality, we feel amazing. But what you don't realize is that the unconscious, indirect implication of that is when you don't have what you want, you feel to the same degree of extremity for bad as you do for good when you get it. Meaning, if money comes in and you feel amazing, you've now generated the potentiality based on what Sir Isaac Newton said. He said, for every force, there's an equal and opposite force. Meaning, if money comes in or something goes good and them niggas tell you, hey, you've made it to the next process, you've made it to the next phase of the job process. We want to interview you and you feel amazing. Or that person finally responded to you on Hinge or wherever you niggas are dating. You get taken 10 feet into the air of happiness without realizing that you've now generated the same potentiality to be taken 10 feet into the ground when it doesn't go the way that you want. So emotional dependency on reality is dangerous both ways. Oftentimes when I say emotional dependency, people think, oh, from a feeling of lack. No, I mean, if you can let reality make you feel good when it shows you signs of the things that you want, you don't realize that it's silently tricking you into becoming a victim for when it wants to swing the other way, and it does so. Now that point is done, on to the next one.
Yeah, okay. Going inside to drink, Gen Z rookies. This is why you always hear Gen X saying
What?
Going inside to drink, Gen Z rookies.
Are they violating us for drinking indoors?
Yeah. This is why you always hear Gen X saying we drank out of the holes outside. But I do tell my fellow Gen Xers empathetically that it is better now when they want to get overly nostalgic.
Nah, listen. They said they're Gen X.
Yeah.
So they were born in the late 1900s. But I think the concept of drinking outside is scary. Like, I genuinely think that's scary. You see the way that we drink indoors. Do you think you could ever drink like that outdoors? No ways. And if that's what millennials and whatever else are doing, you lot got it. You lot are built different. Because
No phones, no contact.
walking outside the way that you're drunk, nah. Because you know what? There's too many unpredictable characters in this world
you know
for
what
me
it
to
is?
be interacting with them while I'm in that state.
I always hear them man say, you know, back in the day, we never used to lock our doors.
Like, what? Bro.
Times are different, man.
We got called rookies because we drink indoors.
Nah, rookies is crazy.
Drinking
so I ain't gonna
outdoors
lie.
is extreme sports. That's dangerous. There's no ways.
Rookies was unnecessary.
You want me to drink outdoors in an era where there's YNs? You lost it. You lost it. You're walking there, you're drunk, you're stumbling, you step on one guy's Jordans. You step on his Dior's. Next. Nah.
Am I crazy?
You know what I've never done though?
What?
I've never had a bottomless brunch.
I haven't either, to be honest. A partner's brunch. What's that like when you go out and
Okay,
drink?
stop begging me, I'll go with you.
Oh, I hear this. The comments are flooding in. I
Stop
can feel it
begging, stop
already.
begging, I'll go with you. This is so embarrassing for you.
Oh my God. I should just cut the video. Just cut the video right now. Bro, I want to share my story with you. I manifested the love of my life back after she had broken up with me, and she also had a new boyfriend, but then I started living in the frequency.
Casually just home wrecking.
Yeah, literally just
Casually.
broke another man's heart. So, okay.
Casually, innit?
Fairs.
The game's the game. Hey, fuck it though, manifestation, innit?
But then I started living in the frequency of already having her and then feeling peaceful and happy. And then after 2 days, mind you, just 2 days, she told me that she wants to break up with her boyfriend and get back with me. That's phenomenal. Bro said, that's phenomenal, bro. Bro said, that's phenomenal. Yo.
Yo, talk about celebrating another man's downfall.
Yo.
You said that's phenomenal.
That's
you said it like it was in
phenomenal.
caps.
Phenomenal, all caps.
All caps. You're a
Phenomenal.
bad guy. You're a bad guy. That's
He didn't-
dark.
He then said, I also had commented this on your video and you had read it in a video and now we're a happy couple. 2 days, that's phenomenal
That's
indeed.
phenomenal.
That's phenomenal.
That's phenomenal.
I know bro's just thinking he's got too much power now.
Yeah.
Ah, man.
Hey, man. Listen, you watch this channel, so I'm on your side, innit? Fuck the other guy.
Until you see someone commented,
Nah,
bro,
that's dark, man.
I just got a new girlfriend and like she just
left
left
me after 2 days.
How
She got
can I
back with the
manifest
ex
her back?
instantly.
Yeah.
That's dark, man.
Really dark.
Like, all jokes aside, that's actually very unfortunate. That is phenomenal. So, turn all self-condemnation into self-praise and grace. I need you to understand one thing. Heaven can be equated to thoughts that are above you, and hell can be equated to thoughts that are beneath you. That's a bar, write that down. And one of the thoughts that are beneath you is self-condemnation. Self-condemnation is self-beratement. It's when you beat yourself up internally. So fucking stupid. What are you thinking? Why did you say that? Why did you do this? Why didn't you do this? What's wrong with you? Why always you? How can you get it right? You're such a screw up. Da 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 da. What are you thinking? That particular line of thinking of self-condemnation is a very dangerous line of thinking. And the truth of the matter is, I think this is the true devil in people's lives, if I do say so myself, because typically, as we know, people externalize the devil. And when you begin to externalize the devil, then you separate yourself from having any capability of having power over the devil. Because the only way that we can have power over somebody that's externalized from us is by physical force. And let's be real, you ain't beating the devil, nigga. Like that's just not, you know what I'm saying? You're just not doing that physically. But once you begin to internalize the devil, understanding that devil, is a representation of polarity within you, then now you're in a capability where you can actually begin to change things. And I think the true devil is self-condemnation, because this is what the devil feeds on. This is what adversity feeds on. Remember, when I say the devil, I'm referring to adversity. Because self-condemnation, like I said, you're doing nothing more than beating yourself up. And when you're beating yourself up internally, you do nothing more than set up the universe to then beat you up externally to the same degree. And then you're shocked as to why things aren't going the way that you want. Is because your mind isn't ordered in a way that it should be. Things are against you because you're not even on your own side. You're not on your own side because you like that one.
That was a good one.
Yeah. But like I said, if you're not on your own side, then who could possibly be on your side? Because self-condemnation, think about it, it's a particular degree of disharmony internally. That's what it truly is. It's conflict internally. We run into this conflict internally and then we're shocked as to why things seem to be against us. They're against us because we're in a disharmonious state of consciousness. We're in conflict internally. We're in conflict internally, but we seek harmony externally. That doesn't make sense. That's like saying, I want a steak, but you're going to order a fish, a salmon. That doesn't make any particular sense at all. And the devil feeds on self-condemnation, because self-condemnation, it's an addictive feeling. Has it ever conceptualized to you that you might be addicted to pain? And I don't mean that in a masochistic way. I think about this in a human way, to which once we begin to experience a certain degree of emotion repeated again and again and again and again and again, whether negative or positive, we begin to feed off it. And because we begin to feed off it, it becomes our source of nutrient. And because it's our source of nutrient, we seek it no matter what. Meaning we will even perpetually create circumstances just so we can create that emotion, just so we can feed our own terrible addiction to pain. And one of them is self-condemnation, because like I said, disharmony and conflict internally that then reflects externally. Because the truth of the matter is, the very thing that you're seeking outside of you is what you need to create inside of you. And that's a bar, write that down. Self-praise and grace is the only way to mitigate self-condemnation. How often do you praise yourself? And I truly mean this. See, even the idea, this is the funny thing about the collective consciousness. Understand that most of the collective consciousness resides somewhere between anger and fear. They exist on the lower level vibrational emotions. And I don't mean that in an egotistical way or a spiritual egotistical way. Please don't fall into that. I mean this in a way for you to truly understand that some of the paradigms and beliefs that we hold in the collective consciousness are just simply there to perpetuate itself. So when we talk about the concept of me saying, how often do you praise yourself? Truly, that's probably something you do rarely. Because the concept of praising yourself, it feels egotistical, it feels wrong. You feel arrogant. Why? Why are you praising yourself? But it's so normally accepted for us to talk crazy to ourselves. It's so normal for us to tear ourselves down and boost ourselves up. When you begin to boost yourself up internally, all of a sudden you're an arrogant asshole. But when you're tearing yourself down, oh, there. That makes no sense. That makes no sense. And it's actually that collective idea that keeps us from praising ourselves and giving ourselves grace. Because when we feel like we've missed the mark, when we feel like we've done wrong, when we feel like we haven't attained what it is that we want, we feel the only way that we can truly give ourselves what we really deserve is self-condemnation instead of grace. People seek grace from God, but they don't give themselves grace. People seek praise from people outside of them, but they won't give themselves praise. Understanding that nothing external takes place without something internal to reflect it, God will only give you grace when you give yourself grace. Those people around you only begin to praise you once you begin to praise yourself. People will stop condemning you, or people will start being in conflict, or conditions or circumstances and event will start reflecting disharmony and conflict when you're no longer condemning yourself internally. All self-condemnation must be turned into self-praise. So when you've been saying, fuck, how don't you still have a job yet? Why don't you still have that promotion? You're making the same amount of money. What's wrong with you? Why can't you figure it out? You know, You're not in a relationship. You know you need to get married. You know your mom's waiting for you to get married. When you're in that particular line of self-condemnation, you need to stop that immediately and switch it to self-praise and grace. As you can see, all of these kind of points about how to make the devil obey you, they all trickle onto each other. It's a very lovely structure in this video, don't you think? Speaking of which, if you're an entrepreneur that has already made millions, you have everything in place, everything that should work, team, skills, knowledge, structure, but you're still stuck at the same multi-million-dollar revenue ceiling, then it's because whether you realize this or not, you have a subconscious block. And check the link in the description. You can apply to work with me in the same way my other clientele who go through the same problems do.
3 months into working with Nero, that company now last month did $120,000.
Morning, I had a call with my spiritual coach, Nero, and it's doing great. You know, we did almost 400K yesterday.
Later, now I've been making just over 100,000 per month. I had 100K a month.
That was what allowed me to be able to scale my business past 80 grand a month and now on a 7-figure run rate for a year.
I fucked with you real bad.
What?
Every time I have become aware of something going on in my life/mind, I question it to get past it. And if I can't find the answer at the moment, here you go with the video the same day or a couple of days later, breaking down my exact questions, or maybe a video you did a year ago is the first video I see when I open YouTube. Love and appreciate you.
Love straight back to you then.
Oh boy.
Love straight back to you, that's real. People ask me for videos that I already made a year ago.
I guess I never saw it. Let's remake them.
Yeah.
That song is just in my head, man. So I
Oh,
want to
CeeLo
watch
Green
Family
had
Guys.
CeeLo Green had bare hits. He's got that other one. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright.
Do I even know that one?
Bright lights. Yeah, you're lacking.
Nero, you are phenomenal.
Oh,
Is
you
everyone
called-
using this
you
word?
called me back.
You spoke for 30 seconds and it was enough. She basically said your videos don't need to be longer than 30 seconds. Like, it speaks volumes. Every time I watch you, I feel like, okay, it's enough. The value is so much, but each drop is just new dimensions. Shout out to you. I'm really proud of myself that I aligned with the right energy to be in this space with y'all.
That's so sweet.
Y'all.
That's so sweet. Thank you. We both thank you very much. But simultaneously, if you're in this space, then you're either a spiritual individual, an intellectual individual, a degenerate, or incredibly hilarious. I think that's like the over-encompassing factors of this channel, don't you think?
Don't involve me in this PR mess. Man called them potential degenerates.
Hey, we are who we are. We are who we are.
Oh, man, I have Chick-fil-A sauce. You need to order some.
There we go.
You know what though? Don't sleep on Wendy's sauce.
Aren't you supposed to be on a diet?
I am.
What type of diet is this?
I am on a diet.
What type
It's not even a diet. It's just my lifestyle.
Okay.
It's just me.
Oh,
now.
you one of them diet niggas that's like, it's not a diet, it's just a lifestyle.
It's just
like,
a lifestyle.
It's like when
now.
religious people are like, no, it's not religion, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah. Bro,
Yeah.
you have to shift identity. That old me that you knew yesterday.
It's not you, yeah?
It's not me.
It's not
I don't
you,
know
yeah?
who that was.
Okay, good.
And Chick-fil-A sauce in moderation. Just like if you drink too much water, it could kill you. Small moderation, you know what I'm saying? It's all moderation.
AJ knowledge. AJ knowledge. AJ knowledge.
They're saying the Chick-fil-A sauce could come today between 6 and 10. You reckon Amazon's got it like that?
I reckon they got it like that.
Ah.
I reckon they got it like that.
See you arrive at 10.
Any other comments before I do this last part?
Hold on. Hold up.
Hold up. Hold my phone.
Wally. Nero and AJ.
Hello.
Not too much on the late 1900s, lol. I'm a 90s baby. And we went outside, wrote letters.
Roll letters is a drag.
And
You
used
were-
the house phone, lol.
House phone.
House phone's peaks though.
House phone.
But to be honest, I
So-
grew up using
so-
the house phone.
That's a landline. But you still had like your own, like we still had our own phones. That idea is normal. I'm talking about you're at school, a ting calls you, your mom answers, and she's like, "It's AJ." And your mom's gotta be like, yo,
Fairs.
nah, that's crazy. Wrote letters, you're dragging it.
Roll letters.
I don't believe they were writing letters in the 90s. I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
They said none of our dirty deeds got aired because of no phones. Dirty deeds.
You're so lucky. You're so lucky.
Now anything you do is recorded.
I envy that. Yeah, exactly.
Dumb or not, lol. Just know we had a great time. Sincerely, a 90s baby. Much love from Texas.
Nah, I know you had a great time.
90s.
90s. I know you had a great time. Texas as well. You know, Sundays on Sunday, when I was in Houston, apparently Sunday was known as Fun Day. That was an extra clubbing day there. So I can,
They
Lord,
were clubbing
On a
on
Sunday.
Sundays.
yeah.
My God, the
Sunday
Lord's
fun
Day.
On the Lord's Day, can you imagine? Heathens. All of you, heathens.
Oh gosh.
That's crazy. I don't believe they're writing letters though.
No,
Sorry.
letters is too
You're pranking us.
because letters that
As in, you're after. No.
I don't believe that, bro.
No, I don't believe that either.
Just use the house phone, innit?
Yeah, just use the house phone. There's no way what you spraying the perfume as well. What's this, like medieval times when someone's going to war? Come on, man. What are you doing? See, that's when you wrote a letter. That made sense.
Must have been locked up.
Can you imagine? Any other ones?
Every time I watch your videos, it correlates with my current life situation. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people say this.
That's real. That's real.
a lot
That's
of people
real.
say this.
That's real.
That's it.
Perfect. Now, I don't think there's a human being that's never not dealt with the unfortunate conditions of self-doubt and overthinking. And most human beings feel as if they could just manage to be able to navigate self-doubt and overthinking, that they would have the capability of transcending their limitations and attain whatever it is that they seek to materialize, whether that's a relationship, whether that's a career promotion, whether that's a job, whether it's a career opportunity, whether that's a relationship, a certain amount of money in their business. Oftentimes, the things that we feel as if holds us back is self-doubt and overthinking. Now, self-doubt and overthinking are the devices of the desperate devil. Now, like I said, in this video, primarily, I've shown you nothing more than how to make the devil obey you. Now, what you don't realize is that self-doubt and overthinking are actually your best friends. They're actually amazing things. Human beings have this unfortunate tendency to miscategorize things because they're lacking the awareness of what these things actually mean on a metaphysical level. Now, one of the things, self-doubt, and the second thing, overthinking, are conceptualized as bad things. Whenever we begin to doubt ourselves, whenever we begin to overthink, we see it as a bad thing. And based upon that perception, I always say your perception directly equates to your projection. The way that you perceive things leads to a projection of how you experience things, because typically how you look at life is how life looks at you, because you and life are one. So when you're looking at life, you're truly looking at yourself. So the perception that you have, the tints through which you see life, is ultimately how that reflects back to you. And when you begin to see self-doubt and overthinking as a terrible, bad thing, based upon that perception, it leads to a distortion in the actual experience. When the true alchemist knows that life has no meaning. Life has no meaning. This isn't to say that life is valueless. That's idiotic. But life has no meaning simply means that as we begin to transcend this third dimensional realm, we step into a concept of oneness. We've all heard this concept in spirituality in terms of oneness. And it's because it's only within this third dimensional realm that we adhere to a law called polarity. Polarity is labels. Remember I said earlier, labels have meanings and meanings have emotion. So when we begin to label something negatively, the meaning within that has an emotion that we call bad. And emotion is energy in motion that emits a signature that we call a vibration that compounds into a frequency and it materializes into a reality. So when we begin to self-doubt and you're like, oh, you can't do it, it's not going to work for you. Or you're overthinking, you're like, I don't know what to do, which one, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? How am I going to do this? Once you begin to experience that, you think it's a sign of weakness. But really, truly, it's the device of a desperate devil. Now, like I said, once we begin to relinquish from the typical tendency on externalizing the devil, that begins to separate you from having capability of having power over the devil, and you internalize it, realizing it's just an adverse degree of polarity within you. Once you begin to realize that self-doubt and overthinking are devices of a desperate devil, you only begin to self-doubt yourself. You only begin to overthink just before transformation. Think about it. When you got no motion and nothing is changing, do you doubt yourself? No. Do you begin to overthink? What's there to overthink about? Nothing's changing. When you haven't made a step in the direction to materialize what it is that you want, do you begin to doubt yourself? No. Do you begin to overthink? No, because there's nothing to self-doubt, there's nothing to overthink about. So what you have to come to a realization of metaphysically is that the devil, that adverse aspect of consciousness within you, only begins to deploy the devices of self-doubt and overthinking right before you're about to transform, because it begins to become desperate at the potentiality of you shifting from one frequency to another. This whole time you've been taught that self-doubt and overthinking is a bad thing. But what if it's a good thing? Because if it's a good thing, then you'd perceive it as a good thing and then you'd project as a good thing. Instead of a distortion, you'd clear it up. And then something that the devil has been using against people for God knows how long, since the beginning of time, is something that actually serves you now. Because now once you begin to self-doubt, you're like, you're getting desperate. Once you begin to overthink, you're like, you're getting desperate. Which almost reinforces a particular degree of certainty and conviction. And that certainty and conviction reinforced within you now strengthens the frequency that you're moving at, which then does nothing more than force the devil to continuously obey you. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is how you made the devil obey you.